Dragon Age the Veilguard has only been out for 3 days, and already we have confirmation that this game is most likely not going to be having any DLC or any expansion or really anything after the initial launch. And with this game having very divisive reviews, at least among users, not necessarily among critics, and also not reaching the player numbers that I think at least Bioware specifically was hoping this game would get to, I think it kind of makes sense why they're already starting to move on from Veilguard in the immense amount of controversy that this game has stirred up over the last few weeks. And before I get into why I think this is a good idea, as well as what Bioware's future plans are, thank you guys so much for 700 subscribers. I really appreciate it. My goal is hopefully 1,000 by the end of this month, so I'm going to keep making content for you guys. If you like gaming news, like gaming reviews, and if you're new here and you like this video, please subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Now let's get into the video. So why is Bioware not interested in putting any DLC content into this game after release? Well, I think the biggest thing is that they aren't getting the sales numbers, or they aren't getting the attention or the player count that they expected. Because if this game wasn't muddled in controversy, if this game was generating 300,000 concurrent players and everybody was coming out and saying this was a game of the year contender, I guarantee Bioware would not be moving on so fast from Dragon Age the Veilguard. And that's not to say the reviews and the player count are completely abysmal. I think reviews are comfortably sitting between 6 to 7 for most people, with obviously some outliers at a 0 or a game of the year. And then the player count specifically broke Bioware's record for players. The only problem is this is only at 90,000. Their concurrent player count wasn't anything to really be super excited about for their previous games, considering Anthem wasn't even able to be played on Steam. And then you have Andromeda, which, let's be completely honest, number one, the game was not good, and number two, it still had to launch through the EA Origins launcher. So no, I don't think this game was a success by any means, but I also don't think it was a complete failure, and I don't think Bioware is going to shut down because of the way Veilguard performed or is continuing to perform. So now what's next for Bioware? Well, Bioware confirmed that they're going to be putting all of their resources onto the next Mass Effect game. And they also already confirmed that the next Mass Effect game is not going to have the same art style and going to be a much more mature tone to what we have seen in Veilguard, which is a very good thing, at least in my opinion. And honestly, I think it's pretty obvious they're already trying to get away from everything that people disliked about Veilguard and trying to get out ahead of their next game, saying none of this is going to be in there. We're not going to have that cartoonish art style. We are not going to have the same dialogue between characters that doesn't match the tone of a world that's supposed to be dark fantasy. They don't want to do that same thing in Mass Effect, because if they did, the controversy for Veilguard would not be as big as the next controversy if they do the same thing again after receiving all of the feedback from players. But I do think Mass Effect has been in development for a while, so I don't think they made this change specifically because of all of the feedback, but I do think they came out and talked about it because all of the feedback. And I think they want to reassure players that this isn't the way Bioware is going to be moving forward, but was specifically a design choice for Veilguard only. So going back to Veilguard quickly, yes, they're not going to be doing any more DLCs for the most part, because I think, again, they are trying to move away from it as quickly as possible and trying to refocus the conversation already onto their next project that is set to be very different from Veilguard in tone. However, if they do, miracle happens and they do release a DLC, what would I personally want to see? I would want to see something that expanded upon the endgame. I think the most fun part about Veilguard as a whole, and my whole big review should be out before the end of tomorrow, where I'll talk about this in a lot more depth, but I think the best part about this game, hands down, is the gameplay and the combat and the progression. If they did a DLC, or if they did any extra content, I would want them to focus around more bosses and more combat, more progression, more unique items to craft builds around, and like a new game plus mode, for example, that you could bring all of your gear in after you beat the game. That is what I would really want them to focus on, because I had the most fun in this game as a whole, clearing the different giant guardians within the different maps, going back to the crossroads, opening the gates, and fighting a very cool ass, for the most part, not all of them were unique, but pretty unique boss that I didn't see in other parts of the game, at least many times over, and they were very hard, they were very high level compared to what I was when I fought them, but overall I was still able to execute the mechanics in a way where I could beat those bosses. And then I could get this unique item that for some builds, specifically my build in some cases, was literally build defining. What I would want them to stay away from is everything else. I don't want them to expand on the story. I don't want them to expand on the companions, because I genuinely do not really trust this team to write good story or to write good dialogue or write good relationships between the different companions, and it just, in my opinion, was by far the worst part of the game. And the story, although there were some good moments, I just think in the next Dragon Age game, if they ever do another Dragon Age game, we just got to go for a full-ass new story, new set of companions, new set of everything, and kind of do another refresh, even though this game was a little bit of a refresh. Thank you guys for watching the video. A little bit of a short one here while I'm working on my review. Again, that should be out tomorrow, hopefully by the latest, definitely on Wednesday. So thank you guys again so much for watching this video. Comment down below what you guys think about this, what you guys think about the future of Bioware. Do you think it's smart to just get away from the Veilguard and not do any DLCs, or would you like to see some DLCs? And if they did some, what would you like to see within those DLCs? Like this video if you liked the video, and subscribe for more. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.